Hi, I'm Martin, and I have a big problem. This is the pile. As you can see, I buy way too many anime models, and I gotta get these guys out of their boxes. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna open all these boxes just for you. Welcome to Cate Frenzy. Hello! Welcome back to Cate Frenzy. We're on episode 11 of season 2, and today we have a special figure that is not quite anime. You might have already guessed, based on the stuff that I already have around me, that we're doing a Harry Potter figure. And this one is one that I've had sitting in my room for like over 6 months now, I think, at this point. There's so much Harry Potter lore, and I can only keep so much of it in my head at the same time. There's too much stuff. So let's get down to the unboxing. This one's gonna be fun because for first time we have a movable figure. Miss Luna Lovegood. Woo! Okay, so this box came directly from Good Smile. There is a USA store and an international store. If you're in North America, it's best to order from the USA store because that's the closest place, and you won't have to pay as crazy like duties and taxes if there are any. So Luna's packaging has some bubble wrap on it, so it's very well protected. This is a very good sign right off the bat. Let's get this off. I haven't opened up a Nendoroid in forever. So excited. Okay, well, it's really tight, so that's super good. I think I have a thing for characters named Luna. Now that I think about it. How many characters do I know that are named Luna? Alright, so the front of the box, we have Luna Lovegood in all her glory, and then we also have an open window, and there's also some writing all over the box. It's actually more like the newspaper that they have in Harry Potter, you know, the moving pictures. And then we also have the number, which is 1330. There's so many Nendoroids now. It's kind of crazy, don't you think? All the Nendoroids are numbered just like your Funko Pops. You can find them quite easily if you know their number, if you're looking for a Nendoroid. See that? It's a little bit indented. That's more of a packaging issue. On the side, we have pictures of Luna. On the side too. On the top, we just have the Harry Potter license as well as Luna Lovegood's pictures. Again, it's very cute. The back shows you the accessories and the warnings. Because this is the American one, there's actually a sticker in English that says, like, you know, don't choke on this because you don't want to be giving this to younger children. Normally when I tell you about the bottom of the box, it's cautionary stuff, but for this one you actually have a picture. Good Smile boxes are quite nice usually. They have a lot of graphic design on them. The artwork is basically just pictures of the figure, so it's nothing too impressive. It is better than the previous boxes I have opened, like let's say for the My Hero Age of Hero line, which wasn't that spectacular, but this is the same premise where there's pictures, but there's multiple pictures. So that's a little bit better, and they're also in the little circles because the androids are tiny and short. This one deserves like a good 8 out of 10, pretty decent. It's a very clean box, and it's got nice little contrast with the white and the black. Now we can move on to the packaging. This figure was already in bubble wrap, as you saw. There was a little dent on the box, which might have been caused during shipping or previously when it was put into the box. So we can't tell. So for that point, I'm not going to take any points off just yet because we can't tell just yet if that was caused by the shipper or was caused by poor packaging. It only has one piece of tape on the seal on the top. Normally there's one on top and one on the side. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Let's swivel back to the box for a second because now the box is really interesting. It's really cool because it's got all these little details in it. See, there's Hedwig and there's a whole bunch of like writing, and inside the box there's a whole bunch of like words and stuff that you can see. So the box just became infinitely cooler. This is a good little detail for collectors. Inside the box there was a little instruction manual of how to put together Luna, and it is fairly simple. It's in Japanese, but it's got visuals, so it's not too hard to understand how you should be putting together, how the head fits on. One layer in the back covering her entire body. We have one layer in the front, and then we also have a lot of plastic covering her whole body. So that is very well protected. Most good smile figures are very protected. Okay, so that comes off. She's already pre-formed, which is nice. She's completely covered in plastic, which is good. So Luna has like plastic on her eyes, plastic underneath her neck, plastic covering her body, and plastic covering her feet. Okay, we'll take her head off first. Head just pops right off. Plastic on top of her head. And then there's also plastic around her body, which is like, whoop. Okay, so they were little flaps that were like this, and then you just pop them off like that. So they were actually covering her arms. So the arms need to be taken off before you take off the plastic bits. And then the bottom here looks like it's part of the skirt joint. Does the skirt come off? Okay, so you just pull that off on the skirt part. Amazingly good. Like, she was completely covered. How do you take this visor off? Oh, you can just pull right out. Luna's line head is covered in plastic as well. I think it's a bag. Is it a bag? Yeah, it's a bag. Even inside the bag, there's covering of plastic on the face. She does have some extra joints and hands as well as a book. I'm just gonna bring out all the pieces and then we can just talk about it that way. I'm leaving 2 joint pieces, so the stand's just built right into the back. Taped to the back side. And the stand's in a little package as well by itself. A perfect 10 out of 10 for packaging. Just before I move forward here, I'm just going to show you that inside here, there are 2 little hands. I won't bring those out because they're just kind of clenched like this. And we're not going to touch those for now because that's too much stuff to touch. Luna comes from us from the Good Smile Company, and she was $78.22 Canadian. That's with shipping included. She was more likely around $52 Canadian. She came from the Good Smile US Corporation Company website. You can get it also on foreign websites, but the USA company is easiest if you live in North America. She has a base of 2.5 inches, and her height with the line head is roughly around 4.5 inches, because that would be her maximum height. She came out in 2020 of July. This may be a little bit tougher for the sculpt and the paint, just because we have a very tiny figure that I'm working with. So we're gonna mainly be looking at this camera for the duration of this video. And that's just so it's easier for everyone to see what is going on with this figure. And let's first talk about the head sculpt. So for this, I'm just gonna pop up her head, and I'm gonna talk about the head sculpt individually because I think that's the best way to do this. So Luna's head sculpt is very cute. Look at those big blue eyes. They're so beautiful. And the thing about the Nendoroids is that they have very similar faces, but if you look at them really closely, there's actually different details on them. So this is Luna's face, right? I'm gonna pull out one of my other Nendoroids. Okay, so here's Haruka Minami from Minami K. And if you look really closely, you can actually see that her eyes have shading in it. And they're a lot different because they're actually based on the way that she's drawn in the anime. And that makes it a little bit easier to see the difference. Especially if you look closely at Luna's face, you can see her eyes are different. They don't have the same shading. It's kind of actually incredible how they can change the faces on these characters, even though they have very similar faces. I know a lot of people, when they talk about Nendoroids, that they're like, they look like Funko Pops. Why would I buy them? They're more expensive than Funko Pops and they don't look as nice. But you're not seeing the detail that's actually on these heads. Funko Pops are pretty much mass made from what I know, but Nendoroids are actually all hand painted. So all of this detail that's on these figures are all hand painted. So these are artisan toys and they don't look like it, but they are expensive because people put a lot of effort into making these. Their heads are actually interchangeable. Do you see how there's a direct line on the sides of their heads? This is actually because their heads can come apart really easily. So for Luna's head, it comes off like this. There is the big back part, there is the bang, that's the hair, and then you have the face. So the 2 pieces, And then you have the face part, which is interchangeable with all the androids, so you can actually swap out faces. So if you want different hairstyles on people, you can actually swap them out. And there's also the little neck point right there that attaches to the back of the head. So you can actually swap out faces and stuff, and you can make a lot of fun little interactions with the Neandroids. Some Neandroids come with more than one face, so you can swap them out easy this way. As with some figures, like the Rebel Tech line, they have like movable eyes for some figures. Neandroids don't have that, so whatever eyes you're set with are the ones you get unless you change the face plate. For instance, you can actually like probably pop off Haruka's head like this bang here, and you can put it on this head. See? You can oh, that looks so weird. It's like adult Luna. Luna tends to wear really weird stuff all the time, like giant glasses and really weird earrings made out of like peppers, was it? Or flowers? And that gives her that weird quirkiness, and people kind of pick on Luna a lot in the series. Luna is a younger student. She met Harry Potter in his 4th year, if I remember right. She's really quirky, and she doesn't really follow other people's rules, and she just is such a unique character, which is why I'm really drawn to her. She's got really weird attributes about her, and it doesn't really show in these faces, maybe not in this face, but it does show in this face. This is the Gryffindor mascot head. It's said that she made this out of like paper mache, I believe, and that's why the fangs are like not smooth. They're like kind of crooked, and they have like swirls on them. And then the eyes, they even included like these moon-shaped eyes on her like lion head, and she has a little ring on it, which is super cute. The mane in the back has so much detail. There's so many individual pieces. For both Luna's head and the mane, there's actually a little bit of shading done on the hair at the tips, so there's actually a little bit more depth for that, so that's a really good sign. You have a line that's very noticeable, but on the lion head, it's not as noticeable because, you know what? The lion head is meant to look like it's handmade, and if you were to make a lion mask, you know, you'd make the front piece and then you shove on a bunch of hair in the back, so that's actually a bonus for this one. It's not so nice on this figure, but it's nice on this head. It reminds me a lot of that like saber head from like the Fate Stay Night Neandroid, and it's just like when you put these lion like animal heads on these characters, they make them look so much more adorable because they look like little children inside their little heads, and like, oh my god, I want more figures with lion heads. I didn't notice any markings on the lion head that are off. Everything looks like it's pretty smooth. There's no lines that are overly apparent that are in the wrong spot. But for Luna's head, there are issues. But right on this piece here, there's actually a line going right across the hair horizontally. It's noticeable, but only if you look really close, so not a big issue. On the top of the head, there's actually a line right here that goes straight down this way. Now, the middle line's correct, but there's a line over here that goes straight down here, and that cuts through the lines going this way. This one's a little weird. Normally the Neandroids have a pretty like clear cut line that's like down the middle. Luna's one is kind of interesting because it kind of goes off on an angle, and because of that, it's a little bit more noticeable because it doesn't really fall naturally on her hair. And it's a really deep line, and especially with the platinum blonde hair, you notice it right away. She has her traditional Hogwarts robes. There are 4 houses in Harry Potter: Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, Slytherin, and Hufflepuff. Each house is basically something you're sorted into at the beginning of your first year of the school. Those houses are basically your family for the year. You're with them throughout the whole year. They're in your classes. Your house can gain points, and by the end of the year, if you guys have a lot of points, you win the house cup. And it's a whole big ordeal. And when you're sorted into the house, they base it on your trait. Ravenclaw is basically meant for people with great intellect or wit. Luna has both of those in spades, and her intellect is a little bit more different, and that's why she's treated so poorly. Like, I mean, people steal her shoes, man. Like, what the fuck? But then she blames it on, like, weird creatures that don't exist. She has a very, very tiny Ravenclaw logo on her robe. So that's a great little detail. Her robe is a nice matte black. She has the white dress shirt in the blue and white colors of Ravenclaw, because when you're in different schools, you have the different colors. So you have it on her scarf, and you also have it on her little necktie. The scarf is painted really well too, by the way. There's nothing really wrong with it. It has a nice little bit of detail. It has a little frills at the end of the scarf, and I like the fact that this looks the way it does, because it's very simple and clean. And for Luna's skirt, you have the nice matte black as well. Her sweater is the gray color too. And then her little boots or her little shoes are black. She has the black tights. For the most part, the wardrobe here, it doesn't really move. It's a very flexible plastic, but it doesn't move really a lot, so you can't really do much. Her arms can go a full 360, which is great. Her legs, not so much because of the skirt in the way, but they have a fair amount of movement for back and forth. They're not too bad. These little Nendoroids, you don't really expect too much for the legs because you can't really do too much with these being such small joints. These two hands here, which I'm going to show you, they are basically her holding her book hands. So they're very easy to take off. You just pop them right out. So they look like that. So this little Quibbler book has a picture of this guy on it with the glasses that Luna wears as well sometimes. Kind of just slides in and she holds it like that. I don't know about you, but if you ever see like a little cute character holding her arms like this, it just makes it really adorable. Like, this is the reason why I bought Luna specifically. There is a Hermione, there is a Harry, and there is a Ron. I believe there's a Snape and Dumbledore too, but Luna's one is like super adorable because these little tiny little hands, this little tiny little book. The little magazines is actually a bunch of magazines. From the side, you can see there's actually a little pile of magazines. So that's just a little detail I wanted to mention. Her other hand is her wand arm. As you can see, it's straight. So it actually only goes one specific way on her body. So if the hair is like this way, it kind of blocks the arm so you can't really move it that high. I guess you could play around with this arm and make it look more interesting. But I wish there was another arm. The other hand pieces in the box are just hand pieces that look like this. It'd be nice to have another hand to hold the wand with. The weird thing is that the wand's actually removable. It's funny because it's removable, but you only have one hand to work with. There's no other hand that can hold it, so what's the point of removing it? The scarf sits on the body sideways. It doesn't really fit any other way, so you have to put it like... Oh, see, the wand fell out. The wand just fell out. So the scarf sits on the body like this. Some of the Nendoroid accessories are designed around that. I find with this one, it's a little bit hard to get on. Hard to get really stiff on there without it being a little bit loose. So that's what it looks like with the scarf. And because the scarves are separate, you can actually put it on Haruka, for instance, if you took off her head too. And I just worry about the fact that you can't really do much once her head's on. You can still turn it and stuff. So this is what the stand looks like, okay? And then you just have to stuff it into the hole in the back of her body. So it's a fairly simple setup. There is a separate piece right here, you can see that holds this part, so if that part is too low, it may fall out. Yeah, that scarf is kind of an issue. Doesn't want to stay on. So kind of like that. And the reason why we have these other holes on the stand is because some Nendoroids come with effect pieces. This one, oh, she's twirling quite a bit in this. Her head's pretty heavy for this. I would assume that with the lion head, it'd actually be a lot harder to move around because I feel like it'd be really heavy. It's much heavier than this head, so I feel like it might have issues holding the stand up. But for the most part, it's pretty good. You can keep her at a pretty good height distance from the base. So overall, it's a pretty simple base, nothing too special to talk about. Other than that, it is a good sculpt. I'm going to give the sculpt a 9.5 out of 10. As for the paint, the hair looks quite nice. It's got lots of different tinges of yellow in it, and it has a good amount of shading detail. The face is uber cute. The scarves have a nice vibrant color. The black, well, it's just fully black, so it's not really hard to get wrong, but it's a nice matte black, so it does look kind of more shiny. And then we also have the really nice grays for the sweater and the little darker skirt. There's not many issues at all with the paint. And that lion head is just, like I said, it's fantastic. The lion head, missing paint on this eye. Everything else looks really good, and the inner face is uber cute. And even the Quibbler book is so detailed for being so tiny. It may look kind of stupid because it's a little smiley face, but it's pretty detailed for being that tiny too. I think overall, paint-wise, this figure deserves a perfect 10 out of 10 because it's just so cute. So if you ever meet someone like Luna, don't run away from them. They have really cool opinions. And you know what? If it wasn't for Luna, Harry wouldn't have solved that Ravenclaw puzzle, and the whole thing would have ended with them dying. So, you know what? Luna saved the day. And if it wasn't for Luna's weird-ass brain, then they wouldn't have found that weird-ass Ravenclaw clue. So in general, there's quite a lot to like about this figure. The face is uber adorable. The line is even cuter. The hair has amazing amount of texture work done on it, and there's even great amount of texture on the line head as well. And the paint for everything on the figure is very good considering how tiny it is, even with the Ravenclaw logo being so tiny, it was very detailed. The only issue I had was just little eye on the line head because there's some missing paint there. Other than that, this figure was well packaged. There's really clean lines. Overall, it's just really nice to look at and doesn't take up much space. So overall appeal wise, it definitely deserves a 10 out of 10. And that basically brings up the final score to 95% overall for this figure. Price wise, could be a little bit better, but again, these are all hand painted and they're all individually made, so that is one huge bonus for this figure. They are artisan figures nonetheless. I hope you did enjoy this review, and come in and check again. And here's your final message for the week. See you later. I just want to keep the book in her hands, but it keeps sliding out and I can't get the fuck. It keeps sliding. Stay down in her hands. I just want you to be cute, damn it. I did it. You